Hello and welcome to the Amateur Football YouTube platform. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Please like and subscribe. Let's go straight into this. Gosh, this young man. Yeah.
Oh, I used to be young. I used to be young.
This young man does so much for like the scene, not only in football but in sports. And again, I'm going to call this guy a media mogul. This has been a long time coming, and you're gonna hear, from like him, his like journey, his life journey, his football, again how his kind of media empire was conceived, and again, if there's any questions, please put them in the comments. But you know what, let me kind of take this picture off and see. Let's kind of get the real life version of V10. What's going on, sir?
What's happening, my friend? How you doing, man?
I'm good. And yeah, like we were just quickly talking off air about I don't really know anything about you,
I know.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of that was the plan. If I'm being honest, that was the plan. I didn't really want to make it about me. Number one, and two, I'm pretty much a private person in general, anyway, especially when it comes to the internet. But at the same time, like you said, and you opened up very well. I like the opening, by the way. Appreciate those words. I feel like there's now like a history of what I've done within the scene now that I feel like, okay, let's talk about it now, because I feel like I've got some years under my belt. And I feel like I've gone through a lot, and it's time to kind of just share exactly who I am, where I come from, where I'm trying to go, what I represent, and what my brand represents. And hopefully it can inspire some other people that come from where we come from. And at the end of the day, being a private person was the original plan. But like I was saying to you off camera, I feel like the world evolves and we have to evolve with it. And we are in a time now where you as an individual are a brand yourself. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like what attracted me to this actual interview, if I'm being honest, is just being able to bounce back and forth with someone like yourself. You've been in the game for years as well, and I'm sure there's loads of things that we can relate and touch on, and your experience will allow us to have that dialogue. Do you know what I mean? So I'm excited. So I appreciate the invitation, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And PSG, it's a big up V10 and Tobrise now.
Big them up. Them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, big them up, because they've been showing us support from day one. And what I'll say is that I have it on my diary. I have to go and see them play. And even without that, without me going to see them, they've still been supporting the platform, supporting what we're doing. And we've got big things coming. So yeah, Palace, I love their name as well.
Palace Saint-Germain. Love it.
Love
it.
Yeah, big them up, man, every time.
Yeah. So let's kind of start from the beginning. So what was the dynamic in your households, brothers and sisters, and literally what did football play in your upbringing?
Man. I feel first and foremost, household of four, one sibling, younger sister, mum, dad. A bigger stepsister that never lived with me, but we was close as well. But in terms of my initial household, it was four of us. And football for me was something that allowed me to venture not only in terms of imagination and creativity and productivity and being occupied, especially where I was coming from, but it also allowed me an escape. And I feel like at that age, when I was younger, maybe I didn't really identify or notice that at the time. But looking back in hindsight now, I know that it allowed me a time to get away. So without going into too much detail, and this isn't throwing shade on my parents or whatever, but I feel like it's a different generation, right? So the generation back in the day, my dad was, I wouldn't say alcoholic, that might be a bit strong, but alcohol was a very strong part of his social life, right? So he would work, he'll go, come back home, straight to the pub, come back, and when you're drunk, he can say things that come across aggressive. It wasn't really the best place for me to be when he was maybe, say, tipsy or drunk or whatever. But football played a part because it allowed me to have, this is crazy actually, and this is why I said it's going to be therapy for us, or for me rather. It allowed me to have father figures outside of my household, where I didn't really see my dad. He was a provider. He wasn't necessarily a father figure in terms of coming to watch me football or play or supporting me. As far as he was concerned, he was paying the bills, putting the food on the table, and his job was done. And I haven't had the greatest relationship with him, but it is better now as I'm older. But looking back, I can see now, right, okay, some of my coaches, my management, the discipline they may install into you at training, because football is deeper than football, right? It's deeper than a sport. There's a lot of life lessons you can learn from the sport, and we probably touch on that deeper into the conversation. But yeah, it allowed me to have father figures. It allowed me to learn. It allowed me to focus, and to be honest, it was my first love. Do you know what I mean? It was my first love, and I loved playing football. So that's kind of where it started. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm not sure if I've veered off track, but
No, no, I mean, and did you feel that you was I'd say, almost like the man of the house and the shield when your dad came home tipsy and drunk? Did you feel like a sense of security, literally supporting your like mum and your sister in like those difficult times?
most definitely, I feel like when I got to a certain age, I would say, and I started to understand the world a bit more, started to understand what was actually happening within the household a lot more. Naturally, you become a protector, right? So obviously, in certain circumstances, I did see myself as the man in the house, maybe not in a financial sense, but more so in a security, because I've got a younger sister and I've got a mother. So I'm the only other male. So if the other male in the house, it's by default kind of my position, right? So I did feel like that, and that probably contributed to the relationship me and my father had when I was younger. So I was quite rebellious, always been smart, always been, I would say, intelligent person, but at the same time, I definitely felt a bit responsible, not even a bit, I felt responsible for the protection of my mom, especially, right? So, and I come from a Jamaican house. My mom's Jamaican, right? So, and my dad's English, which a lot of people might not actually identify that with me, because they'll automatically presume my dad's black and my mom's white. But my mom was actually Caribbean. I got a massive family all over South London, and a lot of my cousins were involved in activities that we don't glamorize, but at that young age, I kind of found attractive, right? So, in the sense of they had families, but street families. So, like when I go see them, see my nan, see my cousins, it was a whole different environment, right? So that maybe made me feel like I was a man before I was a man as well. Do you get what I mean? So I'm around certain faces, certain things, and you get exposed to certain things, and that can make you feel older than you are. So, for example, if I'm at 15, but I'm 15, but I'm around my big cousin's house who's 20, and there's a bag of man from the ends all in the yard watching a 18 film, and all of them are older than me, you're naturally gonna feel like you're part of the man, and you're a man,
Yeah,
innit?
100%.
So those environments maybe made me feel like I was a man before I actually was. But yeah, definitely felt responsible in that sense. Yeah.
And what was your first footballing memory in your household?
In my household, just like growing up on my
Let's say first football memory in your house, and then and then the most poignant moment outside with your peers.
Okay, cool. So in my household, the earliest memory I have wasn't actually playing football, it was just watching it, right? So I used to watch all football. So I didn't support a team. I was just a fan of the sport. So I'd watch Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United. But I was kind of a hyperactive child. So I wouldn't just I'm quite animated, although I'm quite shy. And when you don't know me, when you do know me, I am very animated and hyperactive, especially when I was a kid. So I would just be jumping up and down on chairs if someone scored, or sofas, like literally a headache. And that's my earliest memory. It's not actually like an in detailed memory, but all I can remember is jumping up and down when people score, watching penalty shots, and just being so engrossed in this sport that obviously it was easy to identify with, because you go to school and sport is PE day and they're playing football, so it's like it was a familiar thing. But it was watching it on TV, just watching Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle and Blackburn, like those teams back then
Yeah, back
were,
then.
they were big, you know what I mean? Like Leeds, like those type of teams when I was young. Just watching all of them and just being in awe, do you know what I mean? And I remember even watching results come through on teletext. Like,
Bro, listen, people that know about teletext, you know,
they don't know. Like we're so privileged now to be able to watch Twitter
bro,
and watch the
teletext,
goals as they come in. I was watching teletext, bro.
bro, teletext.
Like Aston
Jesus.
Villa. My cousin used to support Aston Villa, and Aston Villa were a big team back then, innit? They had Dwight York and them, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to sit in front of the TV, just waiting for results and goals to come in. So yeah, that's my earliest memories.
And then the most poignant memory with your peers playing outside. Like when did you know, right? You know what? I can actually play a bit of ball here.
Yeah, I think what happened was, well, first and foremost, like I said, massive family within South London. So when I go to my nan's house, I'd play in the estates, and you know, but I was always playing against people older than me. So I wasn't necessarily getting the better of those guys, but that kind of built me up to be the player I was. But my earliest memory in terms of knowing, Raj, you know what, you're actually all right. You must be all right. Was a family moved onto my road, and I'll never forget them, because before this, there wasn't any football heads on my road. It was just me causing havoc, hitting cars, and I'm playing. But they moved in on the road. They was called the Metcalfs, and they was from Sunderland, and they supported Sunderland, massive Sunderland fans. And they had a son that was around my age, and now we're playing football in the streets and stuff like that. So we never had cones, you know, like the white stripes on the road. That would be my cone. We'd find like a parking space. We had like a parking space around the back where it was like a just perfect size for a goal. It had fence either side, so that would be our goal. We'd play, you know, World Cup. And his dad used to play Sunday League, right? So he will come out and play with us sometimes, right? And one time he said to me, he said, like, who do you play for? And I assure you, I didn't have a concept or understand that there was teams that I could play for. I didn't understand that I can go and play football. I thought it was just you play football at school, you watch it on the TV, and if you're good at school, you might get in, right? But he's the one that exposed that to me, and he took me to a modern district league and allowed me to sign up for a team. I think we had the deadest name. I think it was called the Zebras or something. It was called the Zebras. But yeah, I started playing in this league, and that's when I realized I'm better than a lot of people, because I was playing centre back but scoring hat tricks and running through the whole. I started as a centre back. I don't know why I started.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just running through people and scoring goals and whatever. And yeah, that's when I realized, right, you know what, I might have something here, you know. And then got onto my dad, and my dad got me into. Do you remember Wimbledon School of Excellence?
Yeah, yeah, because literally, so but probably we kind of had one in like Leeds, and literally I was literally part of the Leeds School of Excellence. So yeah.
So it's like a
I know the
fake.
concept.
yeah. It's a concept, but like to me, I was like, raw School of Excellence. Like, Dad, I
Yeah.
need to go here. So like he got me in there, and the coaches liked me a lot. So from there, I would say that's when I realized, you know what, I've got something here, and not only is it something I love, but it's something I'm good at. So
Mm,
yeah, I just stuck with it, and we'll probably get onto this a bit later. But there was never no thoughts of making it. It was just like a place to showcase and enjoy,
mm.
literally. Yeah.
And did you use football as a as your kind of sanctuary, like like a place where you could forget about um any kind of problems or issues at home, and like was it a place where you felt safe?
Yeah, I feel like in hindsight, it's easy for me to identify and understand that. I don't think at the time I understood that. I feel like for me, it was more so a socializing event, friends and enjoyment, showing off. I'm a bit of a show off. Like I can be a bit arrogant. I can be a bit, especially on the pitch, it was a place for me to express. And like I said, I was a hyperactive child. So it was like a place for me to express and be who I was, but get praised for it instead of getting criticized or told off or detention or whatever it may be. So yeah, it was the first place that I was able to express myself. And in hindsight, yeah, it was a place of safety, a place to forget. It was a place to be a part of a different family almost. Do you know what I mean? A family that um, we're all on the same level. There isn't no hierarchy. And
Mm.
if there is what a hierarchy is based on what you do with the ball, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so I feel like that was what it was for me at that time. I can't really elaborate anymore on that. That's what I feel like. This is young though, uh,
mm,
but I'm sure we're gonna get onto when I get a bit older. But yeah,
yeah,
at
yeah.
that age there, it was definitely what you said, and the socializing and bragging aspect and fun,
Mm.
enjoy. Yeah,
So talking about hierarchy and kind of probably like moving on it to your teenage years, going to high school, like how was like that for you, your kind of social circle,
yeah.
and what what did you learn at high school that you kind of still I'd say carry on with that type of process today?
That's an interesting question, because I feel like when I got to high school, I think that's the first time I realized that I'm not the only one that's good at football. Yeah, I'm not the only one that's good at football. This is where all the schools from middle school. I went to schools in Merton, so we have like primary, middle, and then high school.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I went from middle school from being like the best player, I would say, and then went into high school and realized, raw, maybe I'm not the best player. And I was a hyperactive child, like I said, but I used to eat a lot. Yeah, so I was a chubby child as well. So when I got into Rutlish, I'm exposing now, high school, I've I was still good at football, but there was so much more competition. There was so much more. It wasn't as easy. So I still enjoyed it, but making the school teams and stuff like that wasn't as easy. It wasn't an easy process. Now I was good enough to make these school teams, and the question you asked was, what did I learn from those experiences? And I wouldn't say there's anything I learned from the football side of things in high school that I take with me to today in a positive sense. What I learned was you're going to being good enough isn't good enough, if that makes sense. So I was
Yeah.
good enough, but people are always going to have their opinions, right? They're always going to um, put in their favorites. So what I found was is that a lot of the PE teachers who had good relationships with some of the players, those players would play. It wasn't necessarily done on ability in my school. I don't feel like in my year. So what I learned was it taught me to be thick-skinned. That's the first time I realized you have to how to handle rejection, how to handle not being deemed good enough, or being able to play every game. Or do you know what I mean? I feel like that's where I learned that it's more about it's not about your ability. It's more so about how your appearance is. How do you come across? How do you handle yourself? How do you engage with teachers or whatever? And because, like I said, I was quite a disruptive child, not in an aggressive way, but just like I was quite smart, right? So like in
Mhm.
classes, I was quite disruptive, get bored and do silly stuff or whatever. So that didn't help me in that process. But in terms of the actual playing in the playground with the other kids and what, I loved it. Like that was football for me. When it came to the school team, I was still involved in it, but I knew that I feel like that might be the first time I realized football's got a bit of politics to it. It's not like the playground where the best players play and get acknowledgement. It's more so who's got better relationships with the manager, i.e., the teacher in this case, right? So
Mm.
yeah, I feel
Mhm.
like that's when I first realized, okay, football is opinion based, and it's not the opinions are not always a reflection of your real ability.
Mm. We've like got some comments in here, so let me go for one comment.
This is
This
my guy.
here, yeah,
Yes,
big up,
yes.
big up, JB.
Yeah.
This here brings some joy to my heart seeing you two link up. Big,
Mm-hmm.
big, big, big shout out. And is it Nipper's mum? Proud mum of 3 adults, sons that can relate to V10.
Shout out to Napa's mum.
Yeah. So I think you've like kind of touched upon it regarding school. You didn't really enjoy the lessons, right? And
No.
you knew that you you was you were like different from like the other children
Yeah,
in
yeah,
class. Yeah.
yeah, definitely,
And
definitely. I feel like, go on. I'll let you finish.
did you actually enjoy school? And like also as well, what's the one word you think your like headmaster or your teacher would actually say to actually sum you up?
Oh, well, that's a good. I like that one. In school, I enjoyed school, but just from a friends and a socializing aspect. There were certain teachers, like you seen Dangerous Minds. There's always that one teacher that you.
That's got the dangerous mind.
It's true though. There's always that one teacher that's trying, like they're actually being a teacher.
That's got dangerous mind. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no,
Um,
100%. Like there was always like one or two teachers that would do the extras. Do you know what I mean? They would pull me to the side and be like, Daniel, do you know what you've got? Um, you're so smart, but you need to apply yourself. And I feel like this is a lesson that I've only recently learned is that I was spending too much time with my friends, but trying to impress my friends and trying to, you know, keep up the act 24/7. So like in the playground, you can play around and be a clown, right?
mhm.
But when you go into this classroom, it's time to learn. I didn't know how to differentiate the two. So when I got into class, it was just okay. Now I can create a scene that everyone can laugh with me, and it was just weird. It was just I was just one of those children that was always up to no good, but not in a malicious way. It's like just a clown. Do you know what I mean? Like do anything for laughs, and I feel like if the teacher was to say any word, the head teacher, that would be interesting. Um, can I have 2 words?
Yeah, okay, cool.
Um, I'll say wasted ability. Like not even ability on football, just wasted in terms of I got grades without revising, right? And I always got told if you apply yourself, even to my last job, my the director of that company still was saying the same words to me. So this is words that have been rang in my ear throughout my upbringing, right? If you can apply yourself, the ceiling of where you can reach is high. But when you're young, you know what it's like. It's just
Mhm.
like somebody saying, an old man saying to you, enjoy your young days. But you're
Yeah.
thinking, whatever, old man. But now we're old. I'm trying to tell the kids, enjoy your young days. And it's like, it's just the way life goes, right? So at that age, when the headmaster or the teachers are saying these things to me, it's going in one ear out the other. I'm, I'm, I'm not digesting it. And I feel like we'll probably get onto this as well. But when it comes to my daughters now, this is why I try to be their guardian, because I know, especially my eldest daughter, who's just like me, she's gonna need me to be able to reach her and be able to influence her and guide her. Whereas I didn't really have that role model in my house. And when I went to school, maybe in hindsight, some of the male teachers, I was looking at, well, you're not my dad, and so why, if I don't listen to my dad, why am I listening to you? Do you know what I mean? Which is not the greatest attitude to have, to be honest, but that is the truth. But I say, if they had any words for me, it would be wasted talent. Not necessarily on a football pitch. I don't think in high school I was really renowned for the school team. Like I said, I was on the bench most times for my school team, despite being good enough to play. I was a bit chubby, so maybe that might have been an easy excuse, you know. But yeah, just more so in where I could go academically.
And is that something that you still think about even now? And I know that we've jumped like a couple of decades, but do you think like forming of yourself and literally how you like now are relentless with your brand, it's because of the chip on the shoulder that what your headmaster or teachers used to say about you?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, not just them alone, but similar, because I said those words have rang throughout my life. Do you know what I mean? From after high school, when I actually really, when I left high school in the summer, that summer I took football very serious. And I mean, like, not training, but like, playing every day, going to uh, five-a-side places or wherever it be with my friends, but every day. And when I got into college is where I was blossoming, do you know what I mean, in terms of my ability in football. So I used to play with like official, like the AFC, Wimbledon and Fulham players, and not be out of place. Do you know what I mean? So they used to tell me you should be. So I was on it, and even I done sports science in college, and even my sports science teacher, he stopped me one day in the gymnasium when I was playing. I was playing in jeans, and I was just like flicking the ball over guys' heads. And he stopped me. He said, "You can make a living out of football if you stop now. Not stop now, but like take it serious from now." But this is where my downfall is. Again, my friends and my social circle is where I was. It's my fault. It's my responsibility. But I was easily influenced. Do you know what I mean? So I started doing things that maybe I shouldn't have done, and it was a mixture of that and the politics, because you get frustrated when you're playing with people that are at Fulham and you're playing with people that are at Wimbledon, and you're just as good or better than. But how do I get in there? How do I make the transition from this college ball player? Because it's not as simple as going to a Sunday league team. So yeah, he'll tell the manager to come training. I'm playing with some serious players that are saying you should be signed, but how do I get signed? So then I go to college and playing college teams, and you kind of get disheartened because you realize, why am I not? How do I make that transition? Do you know what I mean? And then that mixed with bad influences around you, you lose focus again, right? So I wouldn't, just to go back to your question, I wouldn't say that it was that teacher directly, but that in hindsight, that constant of like, you're not reaching your potential, you're not applying yourself, even up to my last job. That's why I went so hard with this brand, and that's why I continue to go so hard for this brand, because I know the vision. I know where this is going to end up. I know I'm going to take it, and that is something I wake up thinking about. Right. So, for when I wake up, 1 second, yeah, Tobrise. Sorry, 1 second.
No problem. This is live TV, guys. This is why I love it. This is live TV.
I'm new to this.
What do you mean you're new to this? Come on.
I'm new to the live TV part. Welcome to the amateur footballer channel. So basically, so that's why I go so hard. Every day I wake up, I'm like, I don't want to fail. I can't fail. This is going to the top. I know where this is heading, and I know what it takes. I know what I've got to sacrifice. That's why I started the platform midway through a season while I was still playing football. And I had it come to a crossroads where I was like, I've got this idea, but I'm not able to do both. So I had to sacrifice that. So I know where I'm taking it. I know where it's going to head up, but that's why I refuse to fail at this, because I know my ability in anything I put my mind to, and the love and passion I've got for this. The love and passion I've got for this is almost like I'm building this brand for the younger me. Because when I was younger, I never had nothing to identify with like this. I never had any amateur football channels to show me what's happening in grassroots. Never had a Your Fresh TV Sports to show me, the bigger picture of what's happening out here and where you can take it to. I was relying on people, word of mouth and whatnot. So it's a mixture of so many things why I'm going to make this work, and I just want to be able to influence and inspire the next generation to know that you can do whatever you want to do too, right? Just if you see it, and it sounds so cheesy, if you see it, then you can be it. You've got to believe it, and you've got to work every day. So yeah, I'm applying those failures maybe in my younger years. Those lessons, I'm taking them on board, and I'm applying them in the right way for this brand. So in a year or two, when me and you are sipping on some champagne, saying we made it, yeah, we'll be able to say, do you know what? We earned this. We never got given this. We earned this. So yeah, man, definitely.
I love that. We've actually got some comments. Kipper's mom said, "I'd be very proud to call you my son, V10. Hope your children follow in your footsteps."
Oh, bless. Shout out to my man.
That's crazy.
Powerful. Appreciate you, man.
And then Coach Ahmed.
Oh, this guy is my favorite guy. Ahmed.
Wow.
Sorry, bro. This guy he's the guy.
This guy's special.
He's special, bro. He phoned me one time, and I don't like phone calls, bro. I don't like phone calls. I really don't. So, like, if any way I can, I got to cut. I get off the phone, I will more times. But this guy, me and him, we was chopping it up on the phone, talking about real life, like for an hour or so, man. So I've always got time for Ahmed, man. That's my guy for life now. So yeah, 100%. Man, big you up. Yeah, man.
100%. So this, and again, you have touched upon college and like playing football, and you've even gone even more to even talk about your like brand. But I'm very interested, when you were playing football, did you fall out of love with football? And with your friends, but you've kind of openly said, look, like I was kind of, I was kind of easily led, etc. Again, was it kind of all a kind of combination of like everything that that was going wrong, and like also as well, probably not having your kind of family support to actually take you to like certain trials and games? I mean, how was like all of that dynamic?
Yes, interesting, because it's I love this question, and it's allowing me to really deep into my thoughts, because football is a sport, right? But it started off as a game for me. Do you know what I mean? It was a game. It was about enjoyment. So I put football into different departments, because when I was playing on the streets with my friends in a cage, it wasn't 11 versus 11 on grass, which is what you associate. So when I went to play for clubs or 11 aside for college, it was almost like a different sport to what I was used to, like playing on the streets with the man. It was more so about, you got street basketball, and then you got like the NBA.
Yeah.
Street basketball, as long as you entertain, then your respect and your value, you'll be valued as a important part of the player. Whereas like in the NBA, it's all about numbers and what you can convert, right? So I kind of had two footballs. I had this not professional, but like 11 aside manager, do what he says football. Then we got the link up with the man and express yourself football, right? So I fell in love with the expression of being the best version of the player that I wanted to be, right? And like I said, I was a bit hyperactive. I was a bit arrogant when I was younger. So I wouldn't listen to managers, because I thought, I watch football on the TV. I know what I want to be, but you're trying to make me somebody else. And that's not who I want to be. So I fell out of love with the authority that can come with the game or the sport, because it's not a game then, is it? Right? If you've got a manager telling you and dictating to you what to do, then it doesn't become fun anymore. It becomes a job, and I'm not getting paid for it. So where does the enjoyment? Because the enjoyment's what I fell in love with. So that's what leads you back to starting your own team, 7-a-side teams, or playing Sunday league, grassroots, and stuff like that. So to answer your question, I would say that I was never out of love with the game, but I fell out of love with the sport in terms of trying to make it or trying to get further along in the process, because that comes with different sacrifices of yourself. So for instance, Tobrise, right? If how tall are you?
6'1".
6'1", right? Let's just say hypothetically you was a winger, yeah? I know you're not, but let's just say that
But I used to be a winger.
oh, is it?
Literally, I just put it
Okay.
out there. I used to be a left winger. I was quick. Listen, I had bare skills.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I should have
Yeah,
put it out
yeah,
there.
yeah. I'm not doubting you, my friend. I'm not doubting it. Let's say you're 6'1", you go to a team. Where do you play? I'm a winger. He looks at you and says, "You ain't even played yet. You're going to be a centre back." That's not where you want to play, right? So when you start getting dictated to and stuff like that, I understand there's sacrifice to make it, but I was never one of those players that was like, "I want to make it. I want to make it." I just wanted to have the play against the best players because I wanted to challenge myself, right? It wasn't never about I want to go to the Premier League, I want to make a lot of money, I want to push on. It was just more so I want to play against the best players and the best setups and play the football that I love to play. So yeah, just to conclude, the reason why I fell out of the sport was more so because of the people that were in it, and they end up being gatekeepers in the sport. So if you don't have a good relationship with them, then you kind of have to find another team or another route, or you just go back to what you know. And to me, it got to a stage when I was maybe like 19 where I was just like, I just want to play with the man now. Do you know what I mean? And I'll still have people coming up to me saying, "Who do you play for? You should get into football." But that's maybe at that age when I started to not understand. I was introduced to the politics that can come within football, and that was not what I was used to growing up. There was no politics. You play with your mates and you have a laugh. Yeah, there's arguments here and there, but there's no authority figure apart from the referee if you've got one on like a small-sided game. But when it comes to the 11er side, there was just so many gatekeepers, so many people that would this is another point I want to make, that they're just humans like me and you, Tobrise, so they've got emotions as well. So with my attitude, I'm not surprised some of them would do things to spite me, if that makes sense. But maybe to them, they're trying to motivate me. But to me, it was an insult. So if I'm the best player on the team, but because of my attitude one game, you've dropped me, I'm taking that personally. Although in hindsight, I can understand what they was doing. I'm not saying it's wrong, but at the time, it felt very personal because there was no communication one-on-one to look XYZ. It was just an action with no explanation, no conversation. So I'll take that offensively, right? Especially when I know that I'm one of the better players on the team, for instance. So I did fall out of love with the politics when it was first introduced to me. Yeah. Yeah.
And what's been your highlight of your footballing career, and the lowest, and literally what did you learn from both situations?
Yeah. Okay. My highest, I would say, was I'll tell you an interesting story, right? So at 19, there's no trophies, there's no nothing in this story, but for me, it was a high because it was like proving to myself. So at 19, I fell out of love with like the whole 11-a-side thing. I was just playing 7-a-sides. So I'm playing 7-a-side regularly at Tooting and Mitcham. You see the Astro at the front? That's been there
Yeah.
for years. That has there. It used to be like Stanley. So I used to play in tournaments there. Like I'm talking like 4 days a week, I'll say, but maybe I was there every day, like just playing ball. I was known when I walked in. People knew, like, okay, it's time. Do you know what I mean? So I used to tear that league apart. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I used to tear it apart. I remember playing against Jody Morris at that thing, and I'm not gonna say I ran rings around him, but He's still looking for the ball. I'm joking.
You know what? I know people that actually know Jody, so literally, I might have to clip that.
Oh, man. He's got PTSD. You don't want to see my face. No, but jokes aside, I was playing with high level players and I was doing my thing over there. And I met somebody called Joe Nimmo, and he was like, I play 11 aside and Sunday team. And I'm just like, no, it's not for me. And he's like, trust me, like just come, you'll enjoy it. I'm like, no. So anyway, one Friday night, randomly he calls me and he's just like, look, we've got players dropped out, you'll definitely start, just come down, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. So then he's picked me up in the morning in a white transit van, yeah. And he's like, jump in the back. So I've jumped in the back. And then like there's obviously all the football stuff and there's like 3 other players in the van. I'm just like, this is mad, like. Yeah, so I was like, what is this? Am I getting kidnapped? Or like, is this really football? So like, I'm in the back now. And the manager, who I'm friends with to this day, Darren Hunt, he basically handed me like a bacon sandwich, and it was just like so family orientated. It's like you wouldn't get that usually. It wasn't so serious. It was very laid back, and instantly I was comfortable, right? So all these fears that I had of 11-side football was gone, and played the game, done my thing. He loved me, and yeah, that just started to become my 11-side release, basically. Yeah. So then I started playing for the Saturday, and they had a Sunday team. So we're just tearing up the leagues and whatnot, winning trophies. Just a speed up ahead. So like, as I'm playing Sunday League now, this guy Darren Hunt is very close with Sutton United's manager. Yeah. And he's telling the manager, I've got this amazing player. You've got to give him a chance to come training or something. He kept telling me, and I didn't really know who Sutton United was, no offense, but in my head, it was just like, I didn't understand the whole semi-pro world. In my head, it was like Chelsea, Arsenal, like that's pro. And I didn't understand anything beneath that or in between. So when he's saying Sutton United, I was like, oh, I don't understand it. But then he was like, you should go, you can get paid. So I'm like, my ears prick up now. I'm like, well, you can get paid to play. And he was like, yeah, like people are on X amount. And I've never played for the money, but that was interesting to me because, okay, now this concept of semi-pro doesn't seem so amateur to me. It's that they pay money. They must be a certain level to be paying those sort of money. So anyway, he's allowed me to come training. And to be honest, I've went training and there was good players there, right? There was very good players. Big shout out to Billy Dunn, one of the most talented players that I've seen live. But anyway, he was there, and it was Sutton United training or whatever. And I didn't train well. I was a bit lethargic, didn't really train well or whatever. So after training, this guy's called up Darren and was like, why have you brought this guy V to me? They're calling me V by then already. Right? Why are you calling this V to me? I don't think he's up the standard or whatever. And then Darren's like, just trust me, just play him in this friendly. Just play him in this friendly. So then half an hour before I get to this friendly game, Darren's called me. So he knows how to push my buttons at this time. So he's called me and he's like, yeah, I just got a funny call from Steve. He thinks you're not up for it. You're not up to the standard. And I took that very personally. So when we come to this game now, I was on the bench and I was just so focused because it wasn't even about the game. It was about proving to this Steve guy why Darren bought me, right? So then I come on for the last 10 minutes and I score a goal and get a penalty, yeah? And James Bracken, who was the assistant manager, he used to manage Corinthian Casuals not too long ago. I think he's left there now, but he ran up to me and he was like, why didn't you do that in training? Why don't you do that in training? And that wouldn't be everybody's highlight, but for me, it was a highlight because it was the moment I proved to myself that as long as I believe in myself, someone else's opinion doesn't matter. But it also taught myself to always put my best foot forward. There's no relaxing. You can't rely on recommendations your whole life. So just because Darren's recommended me doesn't mean I should turn up and act like I do when I go to the Sunday team and be so lethargic and disinterested, so to speak. So that was one of my highs because that eventually got me into the Sutton team. We went on and done a lot of things. That was the Sutton reserve team. Sorry, that was the Sutton reserve team, and we went on, met so many great players there. Tom Cavanagh's gone on and had a great non-league career. He he was in that team. Graham Bentley, he's now playing in Sevenoaks still. Like, so he's had a good non-league career. He was in that team. Billy Dunn, so many players. Harry Ottaway, he's playing for Dorking Wanderers now, doing their thing as well. So we had a great team and we dominated, and that was one of the best years of football because it was like football with professionalism, but that family and that friendship bond, and that I was allowed to express myself. And yeah, that was one of my highs. And I would say I've got two lows. Two of the lows would say I got called up for the first team for Sutton United, and I played 3 games and I scored like 6 goals in 3 games. And then on the 4th game, like Paul Doswell, he manages Havant and Waterlooville, if
Haven't
anything else.
Waterloo, yeah.
Yeah. He was the manager at the time, and at the time I thought he just didn't like me. But now in hindsight, I know that just like everyone else, you could see the ability, but you could also see the lack of commitment to train outside of football. So we're playing a friendly game, and I'm playing so well, to be honest with you. Coming at half time, and he goes around everyone, everyone in the changing room, and he's like, "Yeah, you've done this, da 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 da." And then he goes, "This leaves me to you, Mr. Harding." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Oh." Basically, I can't remember what he said, but he basically slated me in front of everyone, saying, "You're one of these players that got all the ability and you don't train, you don't put nothing in. You can hardly run across the pitch, blah, blah, blah." He was getting at me. He was trying to push my button, right? So when I come out second half, I was putting everything into it, yeah? And I was trying to keep my goal scoring record up as well. I wanted to be able to say I scored in every game I played first team. And I remember going in for a challenge. So I've put my foot in front of the ball, and the guys come and hit the ball the other way, and my knee has just gone. And that's the first time I had any serious injury. It was my knee, medial ligament, yeah, but I didn't know. So I was just like, my knee's messed up. So I'm still determined because I want to get my goal. So I'm playing on limping, and Doswell's obviously getting ready to do the substitution because he can see that I'm injured. Anyway, I scored when I was injured. So someone's gone through, it's hit the keeper, it's come out to me, and I've scored by following up. I was so determined to get something out of the game. But when I've come off of the pitch and I was injured, it was like the disregard for me as a human being was like one of the lowest of the lows, because it was just like I wasn't there. It was like I didn't exist anymore. I was in the physio room. He gave me ice. He almost basically, he may as well said, "There's your ice, mate. Good luck," and just crack on. So then that was like the dark side of that game again that I was also worried about when I was in college. But now it's popped up again. I'm like, wow, they really just don't care about me. So anyway, I ended up leaving Sutton, coming back to my rehabilitation, went to Mersham, and similar politics there, but I wouldn't say they're low. And then my second low was when I was maybe like 30 years old, playing at Collier's Wood. And again, after the whole Sutton situation, when I went back into semi-pro, it was almost just playing for the money, like whether it's £150 a week or £200 a week. I wasn't really putting much effort into progressing as a player. But when I turned 30 for Collier's Wood, it was almost like the realization of like, do you know what? I haven't got many years left to play, you know? So I put myself through a vigorous pre-season, yeah, pre-season flying. I'm talking about might be the fittest I've ever been. And then, yeah, out of nowhere, no one around me, I rupture my Achilles. And yeah, one of the worst injuries. And then, yeah, that was an eye opener for life, because it's like I couldn't shower myself, like I couldn't go out anywhere. Felt a really lonely place to be honest. Really, really lonely place to be. And again, the club didn't really care like that, to be honest with you. And yeah, I would say that was probably my lowest, because it was just like another reminder that if you're not fit and you're not playing, well, it felt like this. It felt like if you're not fit and you're not playing, they don't really care as you as a human being. Whereas, like I said, football for me has always been about the social, the family, the enjoyment, togetherness. So I associate that type of treatment back to the politics of football again that I hated so much when I was younger. Yeah.
So we've, and again, thank you for sharing. And what I've been listening very intensely,
Yeah,
and your highs and your lows all all come down to your own mental state, which is very interesting. It's nothing to do with physical. It's literally all literally being about how you've been feeling,
yeah.
and in your lowest time, when you kind of did your Achilles, how how was you mentally? I mean, yeah, I
Well,
would like
this,
to know.
well, I would say, I don't know what word best to describe it, but mentally not very good, I would say. But not in a sense of depression, just sense of loneliness and boredom. And that during that period was actually when I thought of this whole platform I did. Not even the platform, is when I thought about bringing up a camera, or bringing out a camera to record my team play. Even though I wasn't able to play, I still wanted to be part of that environment, that team ethic. So that's when I started bringing the camera out to record my team training and things like that, just being a part of it. But yeah, I would say my mental state at that point was yeah, very, it's not, if anyone's been there, it's not a nice place to be. So I wouldn't say it was in the best of conditions, no.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But when one door closes, another one opens, and we kind of move on to onto your brand, you
yeah,
know, and like, yeah, yeah, hey, like let's be, again, 100% transparent. So I can't even remember when I started my platform, and yeah, I was, everything was kind of going along. I was kind of just doing like my thing, and then your TV Fresh Sports with the black background with the white writing,
yeah,
bam! It
yeah,
was it was
yeah,
just, I'm saying it was hard hitting,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and literally, like, the first thing I remember was, um like, what, like, no, literally again, like, I've not been said this to, like, you or to literally anyone else. Like, it literally reminded me, because literally, I kind of used to be a big wrestling fan, and and it kind of reminded me,
No.
like, you and Ryan like reminded me of Legion of Doom.
Yeah, it's my brother,
Like
man.
you came in, and you was taking no prisoners. You
Yeah,
was literally talking loud as well. Not even just talking, you were talking loud.
no.
And literally, yeah, literally, I kind of had to like step back for, like, what I'm saying, I'm thinking, wow, like, okay, like,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah, literally, I wonder what their agenda is. Um, actually, when you started your, like, brand, what was the strategy, or literally what was the plan? Yeah, I would actually love to kind of get, like, the first couple
Mhm.
of months of you starting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I'll go all the way back to the beginning, basically. So, this is, I can't remember what year. My memory is very bad. But me myself, I'm playing at Guildford. It's probably my last year. I'm only really playing there because one of my close friends went there and he was the captain and he was like, come down, and so I went to play there. But I'm on Twitter one day, I'm scrolling and I see SC Dons versus Kenningwell, right? And it's on the timeline and it's going off, yeah. And it's Lefty's playing for Kenmore at these times, but he's getting at SC Dons, and the clip's just gone viral, right? And it just grabbed my attention, and I was thinking to myself, raw, this is sick. Like, this is actually sick, because what they've done is combined the two separate footballs that I was talking about, like the sport and the game, and they've kind of made it one again, but using the Sunday League platform to do it, because you have the flexibility to do what you wish with your Sunday team, right? So when I saw that, I was like, this is amazing. And it, like, you know, my brain starts twinging, and I start doing a bit of research, and I'm like, oh, these SC Dons guys are doing their thing. Then I find Beatties. I'm like, this is sick. But I haven't really twigged onto what I'm going to do yet. But then I realized that, I'm having conversations with people about it, and people talking about it, and people. And then one day I just thought to myself, there's no platform that actually talks about this. Well, who's the Sky Sports of this? Who's the, you know, the mediators? Where's that neutral platform? Like Link Up TV has all of the rappers. Graham Daly does similar. When you talk about these big type of fields, there's usually like a neutral platform that kind of harbors it. I was a big rap battle fan as well, like URL, like wrestling, all these things. I was like, well, SE Dons is a team, Beatties is a team, Cannonball is a team. Where's this one that talks about everyone? And that's when I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to highlight what's going on in the Sunday League team because it's close to my heart. I grew up loving the Sunday League scene more than I did the political Saturdays, could you say? And it just felt like something that was aligned for me to be a part of, if I'm honest with you. It was something that was built gearing. When you've heard my story now, for me, it was like the perfect blend of both of them where I could fit and sit and be comfortable to be myself, have my opinions, have my beliefs, and not have any gatekeepers telling me you can't do this, can't do that. So it was perfect for me. And I said, you know what, I need somebody that's a manager that knows football, that's somebody that's got character, someone that's got personality, someone that's got, you know, talent. And the first thing I think of is my guy Ryan. Yeah. So Ryan was manager of Collinswood for a little bit. He was a coach, and me and him had a good relationship in the fact that his mum used to look after me when I was young. My mum knew his mum. He was in the same class as my little sister. It just felt right, you know. And I knew that he was trying to explore and progress in his coaching career and his management career. So it just made a lot more sense. And I've always been an eye for talent, whether that's football, whether that's hosting, whether that's just charisma. You know, some people just got it, and you don't know what it is, but it's got you're drawn to them when they talk. I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to Ryan. So I pulled up at his house. We're in the living room now, and I put it out to him. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to create a platform called Your Fresh TV Sport. And these times I was assisting my friend who's like at the time he was a massive Afrobeats director, and he had a platform called Your Fresh TV by itself. So I was already assisting on that side. So we're shooting videos of like Wizkid, Burna Boy, all these African artists that are massive now, but back then they were still massive in Africa, but not necessarily global stars. So I was saying to him before I checked Ryan, I said to him, I want to start a platform where we highlight XYZ, and I had these other plans. I'm not going to go into them yet because I haven't put a lot of these into action yet, so I need to safeguard myself. But yeah, so I went to Ryan with it. I said, look, we're going to start a platform called Your Fresh TV Sport. It's going to be, you know, housed by a platform called Your Fresh TV, which I was handling the socials and that already. And what I want to start with is a podcast with people talking about what's happening with SE Dons in the Sunday League and Beatties and all these teams that are coming through, right? So we had a conversation, and he was like, yeah, boom, I'm down. I said, you down to host? He said, yeah, I'm down to host. And for me, it was like the perfect host because he's got so much talent and he's got so much ability and so much to give. So for me, it was like perfect. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I didn't want no clout, or I didn't want no attention. It was just more so about the platform being able to thrive and do what it wants to do. So we start the first podcast, and what we do is a one. You know, like, this is my thing, yeah. I don't mean no harm, but I feel like you have to say something that is debatable to create conversation and dialogue. If I go in there and I say the obvious, everyone's going to scroll past and say, well, we knew SC Dons was a big YouTube team anyway. We knew that Kenilworth been existing for so many years anyway. We knew. Let's create a conversation where we can have a real dialogue. So my thing was like, who's the best? Yeah, who's the best? And let's do a 1 to 11 of the best players in this OBDSFL league, which was becoming very renowned in its name. And we've done it, right? So when we've done it now, naturally, I know it as a footballer. Like, if you know you're a baller and you're not in that 1 to 11, you're like, what? Who are these people? Who, like, so instantly, bang, everyone's crowding towards it. Oh, you can't put him in there. Where's Big G? Da da da. Pops off. And then, you know, the legend Don Strapsy's saying, yo, I need to come on the podcast and things like that. And yeah, that's where it just took off. And from there, it gave us a foothold in the game to build from.
And again, because not you like stated at the beginning of the conversation that like you've always been very, very kind of bright, and literally you've kind of always been looking for that opportunity. So like you like knew the moment that you didn't include certain players like Big G, like, and like the moment you had the SE Dons and the kind of Lambeth guys, you knew that you was onto something special, right?
Yeah, well, what I would say is that not the 1 to 11 wasn't premeditated. Yeah, so there was no, okay, make sure you need, like, these were people that were playing in the league I had on the platform. So I just said, let's let them tell us. If Big G is the best goalkeeper in the league, and they think that, then put him in. Or it was just I left it up to them. I just wanted to know, like, who are the players we should look out for, because I wanted to create a dialogue, but I didn't necessarily plan to ruffle as many feathers as it did. I just wanted, one, to create dialogue, and two, that dialogue would allow me to identify what teams I should go see, what players should I go watch. Yeah, because I'm a school. I like the expressive football. So who's gonna play like me? And I never heard of someone. I never knew Torin Roberts even existed until, and then you know him. Like, how is he not pro? How good is he? So, like, these players, I wanted to identify it, but it just so happened the people we had on the panel for that first episode were they had opinions that people didn't agree with, and then the rest is history. Like, obviously, then we had Don's come on, and like, big shout out to him, because he didn't have to come on, to be honest with you. We was nobody. He could have cracked on and carried on with his life. Do you get what I'm saying? But he come on our platform, and from there we had a foothold that I was never gonna let go of. Do you know what I'm saying? I was never gonna let go of it.
And then of course, like, your like platform grows, like it builds, and literally that's when I literally had to take notice 100%. And actually what was kind of very clear for, like, me, is that you was like willing to ruffle a few feathers, kind of even kind of in the way, I'd say also as well, please correct me if I'm wrong, even kind of go like back and forth and literally question some of the other football influencers out there, which again, like, like a lot of people wanted to hear. Again, how was like that, those like moments for you, because like it must have been a really hot cauldron, kind of, again, creating viral clips, getting other influencers on, having debates with like really famous people. I mean, literally, how was that for like you and Ryan?
Yeah, man, me and Ryan loved it. I'll be honest with you. Me and Ryan loved it, like me and Ryan, we never loved it like rattling people. That was never the objective. But at the same time, these were opinions we had. So we wasn't gonna just fold over because someone else don't agree with it. Football's opinion based, right? If I told you to pick the England starting 11, it might be different to mine. Does that make your view any? No, it's a dialogue, right? So for me and Ryan loved it, and in all honesty, I was handling like the socials, but Ryan was handling it in person because he was almost the face of the platform, right? Because
Very
he was
true.
the person in front of the camera. He was the person saying X, Y, Z. So there was never a point where I said to Ryan, yo, this week we're going to do X, Y, Z. It was all organic, all authentic, all real. Because remember, a lot of these players we know personally as well. So it's not like Ryan didn't know people that played for SE Dons on a personal level. It's not like I didn't know people that played for Kenilworth on a personal level, or Portland, especially. I knew loads of people from Portland at the time. So these are conversations that people had in their living rooms and with their friends anyway. But we was just putting it on blast in the public, and evidently, so many people wanted to talk on it. It was a conversation. It was conversations that was needed to be had, and me and Ryan loved it. I'll be honest. Me and Ryan loved it. We had conversations where we'd laugh and we'd say, "Rah, they're rattled," but the reason why we stuck by our guns is because these are opinions we believed in, right? So, for instance, a perfect example: we went and watched Lambeth. I know football. We went and watched Lambeth All Stars in the first round of the London Cup, and they beat Barnhurst 7-8-1 or whatever it may be. I saw that. Listen, I don't care who SC Dons have got, which they got very good players, which I learned later on the line. But at that time, I was like, I don't care who they got. No Sunday team's better than this team. These 11 that I see in front of me: Danny Bassett, Aaron Watson, Michael Hill, Hamilton, Cads.
Yeah.
No, these players are levels, like Winger up front, up top, and then you had Was, and these players are. I just couldn't see past anyone being better than them. And like I said, I could have kept that to myself and kept it rolling, but I tweeted it. And then everyone just started coming for me. And that's where like the dialogue begun, really, between us and people that didn't agree with us. And we at that time it was like hot in the kitchen. Like, trust me, I was looking at my phone like, raw, is my phone gonna explode? Like, it's just ding 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 hot. But we look back at it now, and that I was saying to Winger the other day, like a lot of these people, I was saying to Winger, like that year was a year I'll never forget, because we fully had the scene's attention on the London Cup and what was happening in the Sunday League and all these teams, all these players. People wanted to know more about them. Who is Colin Roberts? Who is Frenchie? Who is Aaron Leacock? Who is well, Zach Ansell was always known, so I'm not going to take credit for that. But who is Mike Hill? Who is Cads? Who's Winger? Like, they was intrigued. They wanted to know more. So I feel like it done wonders for the scene, if I'm being honest with you. That's not me blowing my own trumpet. I look back at it and be like, yeah, that was magic still.
And how was your physical and mental state when people were kind of going at yourself and Ryan and again, let's be real, like there like must have been messages that were very unsavory. And did you ever kind of question, or okay, even though I'm going to say exactly what I want to say, maybe this has gone a little bit too far?
Nah, never. Like, I come from a real place, and Twitter and internet has never been a real place for me. So when people were saying XYZ, like, also, this is context for people as well. You need to understand how Your Fresh TV Sport wasn't the only platform I was working on. Like, I work on a lot of other platforms that people wouldn't associate me with because I don't put my face out there. So I know how the internet reacts. I know, for instance, I was running the Your Fresh TV, the normal page, and I was highlighting Afrobeats artists at the time. So I used to get attacked daily from fans when I said that Burna Boy was better than Wizkid. Do you know how many fans Wizkid's got? So I'm talking about a plethora of messages saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," like threats and crazy stuff. So, with all due respect, although we was getting comments and retaliations from people, I guess the only difference is we knew these people personally. We were going to see them when we pulled up on a Sunday or whatever. So, but at the end of the day, I don't regret anything, and I don't think there was any point where I was like, "Raw, we've gone too far." Now, the only thing that I would say is, I did sometimes think, "Raw, why is everyone so sensitive?" I did think that. I thought, "Raw, all we've done is had an opinion." It's like, um, you know, being an Arsenal fan, Chelsea fan, Tottenham fan, Man United fan. I understand the debate. If I say that Mason Mount is better than hypothetically Saka, let's just say, there's going to be Saka Arsenal fans that are going to be like, "Are you dumb?" Da 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 da. It's part of it. But what I didn't understand is why some people was so sensitive that we had an opinion that didn't align with theirs. Like, everyone should be free to have an opinion. If I think Zach Hanser is the best striker in Sunday League, then Zach Hanser is the best striker in Sunday League to me. Doesn't mean you have to agree with me. But because we was kind of the focal point of bringing this team together, it's like, that's why we had that influx of people that didn't agree. And we had a lot of back and forth with people, other platforms. But for me personally, it never was personal. Do you know? Well, not initially. It wasn't initially personal, but then a lot of people were taking it very personally. And I feel like Sunday League, in that 1 to 2 years, it did become quite a toxic place, in terms of what people were saying and what they was doing, or them feeling that we're maybe putting shade on them. But I assure you that a lot of the things, or the majority of the things that we did, was just coming from what we believed in. Do you know what I mean? If I put, listen, you're good at maths, right? If we've got 50 good players in a Sunday League scene, we've got 50 good players, but I have to put a 1 to 11 out. How do I make all 50 players happy? It's impossible. It's impossible. And because it's not like we're recording every game, this is just down to things I've seen with my eyes. So like, I didn't think it got to a point where I was thinking, "Oh, this is too much." It was a bit toxic certain times, but I felt like it was definitely the boost that the scene needed. And I felt like a lot of people were very sensitive, and they was being a bit intimidated by us, if I'm being honest, because they'd been doing it for so long, and we've come in out of nowhere, and boom. And it's like, they're like, "Who are these guys? Why they get?" I can understand a little bit of resentment or a little bit of hatred or whatever, but yeah, I feel like people were just a bit too sensitive, and they took everything we said literally, when really we was like, obviously rocking the boat a little bit here and there, but all the games of Sunday League and spoke to these people face to face, and it was love. So yeah, it is what it is.
So we probably, our first interaction, please correct me if I'm wrong, was, I believe it was during lockdown.
Yeah.
Was it?
Did I call you?
Gosh,
I think I called you. I remember calling you. I was speaking to you on the phone for a while, and I was just saying, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know much about your history and how long you'd been in the game, because I was still a bit naive to the scene, if I'm honest. I hadn't done my research, like my intensive research. And I wanted you to be a part of our team ultimately, but I didn't realize you already had your own real like vision going. So when I called you, it was like trying to just talk to you about, without telling you exactly all my plans. I kind of just wanted you to be on board a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But I gauged that I was like, this guy's got his own vision and his own plan. So
you know what? I do remember that conversation, because like it was, yeah, I think it was about 30 or 40 minutes, and literally I think we were almost like sparring with each other, but like, we were like shadow boxing.
Yeah.
it was like respectful, but it was shadow boxing.
Yeah.
And I like remember again, like, let's be real here. Like, again, like, you've like come in, and like, again, like, you are just dominating the scene. And you know, like, the person that, like, you know, I am, and you know, again, we've like spoken more. I've said, you know, there is room for everyone. Like, the more people that come, it's absolutely brilliant. And I had like a lot of friends that saying, oh, you know what, like you've got to partner with Your Fresh, you got to partner with like Your Fresh, you got to partner with Your Fresh. I'm like, okay, cool, okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm,
Yeah,
literally like I'm here to digest and to, and also to actually learn from like you guys. And we did a podcast. You literally came onto my podcast. Can you remember? It was
yeah.
the
This is on the
audio
phone, right?
podcast.
Yeah,
Yes. So
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
this is on the phone. This
yeah,
is
yeah,
this is
yeah,
during lockdown.
yeah,
And because again, literally I was like, you know what? Yeah, like we can have to talk more because we are kind of both in the same scene. Yes, like you are kind of doing something different from literally what like, literally I'm doing, but
yeah,
we are
yeah,
still in this Sunday league scene.
yeah,
And I remember after that conversation, I was thinking, okay, you know what? We'll be doing a lot more collaborations,
yeah,
but we
yeah.
didn't.
We didn't, yeah. And this is, it's just like when I got, like, you go out and you see someone you ain't seen for ages and it's all love. You're like, yeah, we got to link up, we got to go out, but life takes over after that, right? So
Yeah.
it's similar like that. I've always wanted to work with people, and I've always wanted to just show that I'm willing to collaborate with people, because I genuinely feel people like us are what create the scenes, right? Because me and you've had this conversation before, this podcast, but I wanted us to be the creators of the scene. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the cameramen, the people that put in the work, the people that do the editing, the people that put stuff out. I wanted all of us to be able to know that we're not a threat to each other, because a lot of people now, it's that crabs in the bucket mentality, right? And it's like, raw, no, if they win, it's almost like you believe that if they win, I can't win. But if I win, you've got more chance of winning. Or if you win, I've got more chance of winning, because we are each other's network. But yeah, we never got around to the collaborations just because life was hard. Then lockdown come, like we never saw that, envision that coming, right? Like lockdown and stuff like that. But I've always wanted to like collaborate with people and work, and it's just if the time aligns, then I'm more than happy to put these type of things together.
Yeah.
Mm.
And like we have spoken about thinking, listen, imagine if we could do, I don't want to talk too much, but like just like something big together. Like, we have spoken about it, and again, I believe it will happen.
It will.
And well, I mean, we are doing something together with the Sunday Football League, but we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I kind of definitely viewed you as a very focused individual, but
yeah,
very very aggressive in terms of what you wanted,
yeah,
and and again, that can be very intimidating to other people that
yeah,
are that are either established in the game, who are like new, and again, it's that drive that not a lot of people see. They only see
yeah,
you, yeah, behind the scenes. But
yeah.
again, like, can you kind of put into words the amount of work that goes into like build, literally building your brand in terms of where it is right now?
Wow, words will not describe, but I'll tell you this: as much as how hard, no matter how hard I was willing to work from the beginning, nothing would have been able to prepare me for how much work I would have to put in. Do you know what I'm saying? Because this is the deception that videos have, right? So me and you've spoken about this before, to be honest. But if I work for 8 hours, all you see is the 1 minute video. So to you, it's a 1 minute video. That can't take too long. But what I learned very quickly is, because remember, I was learning on a job. I just bought a camera. I didn't really know how to use it, even though I was helping on other sets. That was just more for experience of meeting artists and stuff like that. But I bought my camera to learn how to use that. Money into SD cards and laptops and editing softwares. Learning how to do podcasts. And the first laptop I had, thankfully, I've got a better one now. But the first laptop I had, I'm talking about rendering times of up to 24 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Jesus.
Like, so you can imagine working at the laptop, putting clips out, working on podcasts and putting posts out. I'm talking, and I was working full time, right? So I'm talking about waking up at 6 and going to bed at 2 a.m. Yeah, and getting up and doing it again, and then on the weekend, doing a Sunday game as well as that. So the work ethic I had to have to even just keep this afloat. And I did say to Ryan in that first meeting we had when we first started it, I said we need to be prepared for this to take off, because I believe that it's going to take off, and it's only really me and you. And that's right, Ryan, that's not his forte. He doesn't really know how to edit or put social media clips up. He was just very good at speaking, right? He's a very good host and relaying information and communicating. So I had to learn that all by myself. And Instagram I had used before. I wasn't too familiar with Twitter. And I used to research that and just see what people talk about, how do we get people to interact. The amount of hours it takes is unbelievable. I wouldn't be able to go into how many hours I put up late nights and like shedding tears when like Adobe crashes and like I've got to start all over again. And I'll never forget the first podcast we had Don Strapsy on. We had Winjar, we had Albie from Rising Ballers, who was very influential that year as well. And we had Frenchie from Kenningwell. Shout out to Frenchie. Yeah, that podcast was very close to not coming out because it crashed and all the footage was gone, and basically the work I had to put in to get that out. God's grace, like God was with me that night, or because I was up and just making sure it came out. So the work you have to put in, you have to be willing to sacrifice, and that's why I know that people like yourself, whoever else does these type of things, you're hard workers. This is not easy. This is not easy by any mean feat, and this beats any type of effort I've had to put and do anything before. Like football, it beats that. Working full time 9 to 5, it beats that. I'm talking about real graft and real effort. Because remember, I was self-taught, so I'm learning and I'm making mistakes along the way and learning from it and keep going and keep going and keep going. Because we pretty much went from here to here overnight. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like I had a nice little 4 months of gradual progression to learn how things work. It just took off. I had to learn quickly, and I stayed up late nights and done all sorts of edits, all sorts of things. So yeah, but invaluable skill set I've got now. So that time has been invested. It's an investment, and now I'm sitting on a wealth of knowledge.
Mm.
And
And you know, again, please correct me if I'm wrong. Probably it was pretty like recent that well, like you and Ryan kind of parted ways.
yeah,
And literally, like how did like that like come about? And again, like what have you learned from like Ryan, like like you're taking now into like the next phase of your growth and development?
yeah, I feel like me and Ryan, he will always be like my guy in it. Like what we had was before this, and what we will have will be after this as well, right? But the reason we went separate ways is just life, right? Because, like I said, we went into lockdown. Yeah, we came out of lockdown. It was a stop and start, and we just had two different visions for where the platform should go, and ultimately, not everyone can come on the journey, and I have to be the vision. I'm the one. I'm the visionary behind this, right? So I believe in myself. I have to believe in myself before I believe in someone else. Otherwise, like I was telling you, it's so good that we told this story, but like I've been influenced by my friends through a lot of my life. Do you know what I'm saying? So I won't go into too much detail, but certain of the activities that I used to indulge in were mostly because I was being influenced by someone else's opinion, right? So this is time for me to see my vision and see it through. I've been on the earth for long enough time to believe in what I believe in and believe in my vision. And we had a lot of strong conversations back and forth. And like I said to you, it's all love. We still talk to this day. Do you know what I'm saying? Talking about life, general life things. But just for the platform to thrive and develop in the way that I wanted to, it wouldn't be possible given the circumstances that Ryan had found himself in. Do you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, this isn't a business that's making me a six figure digits at the end of the year, and Ryan and I have life to look after as well, and I'm sacrificing part of my life for the vision, so I can't ask someone else to do that because that's unfair. But if you're not willing to do that, or you can't do that, I have to be able to accept that, and to make this vision come to fruition, I have to make certain moves, and it's not personal. It's all for the brand because like I said, we're talking about the hours I put in, and all due respect to anyone that being a host and being a presenter and being a coach and being a manager, extremely difficult jobs, right? You need skill sets to do this. However, when I'm talking about the time that you input onto your craft, what we're doing and what someone else that's a host or a presenter is doing, the time of investment, ours is up here, and theirs is not. You turn up to do the thing, and then you go home. We edit it, we put it out, we put out that's where we're there every step of the phase. Do you know what I mean? So with the amount of time I'd put into it, I had to let my vision be in control of the vision. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where we kind of went our separate ways, which is sad because we made history together, man. We made history together. That's my guy forever, and I wish him nothing but the best. One of the best coaches you can get. He can make it to as high as he will allow himself to, and he has all the tools to take it to the top. And if I can help him along the way, like I've said, I've made logos for his coaching. Like it's still all love. Do you know what I mean? But we will both make it to the top, and we'll be able to look back at once at some time and be like, "Do you know what, we did it." Do you know what I'm saying? Because you get out what you put in, right? So if you can't put nothing in, then you can't expect anything to get out.
Very true. And we spoke about collaboration and
Yeah,
the SFL, Sunday Football League.
yeah.
We were both very, in a very privileged room when like this was actually being told, or literally when like we were actually being, well, in terms of like the whole set out, we had the Nando's there.
Yeah.
And like we kept looking at each other and thinking, oh my gosh, like this is going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, how are you feeling in terms of the Sunday Football League and like also collaborating with like myself and like the teams out there? I mean, where can this league go?
Woo! The sky's the limit, man. I genuinely believe that. I feel like the sky's the limit when it comes to this because um, we're dealing with league creators that share similar visions to what we would, right? They're thinking outside the box. They're not pigeonholing themselves. They're willing to try things that haven't been tried before. They're willing to explore the different avenues that they can take this, and I feel like that's always a good thing because we don't want to play this safe. Nothing great has ever come from safe. Nothing. Like we have to be able to push the boundaries. We have to be able to try, and not everything that we try will work. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like because of the league creators are willing to push this in a direction it's never gone before, the sky's the limit. So I feel like it's made a bit of a, I wouldn't say it hasn't blown onto the scene and just taken over, but if you really look at it, the way that the league set up and what they're doing, I feel like it's more towards the latter end of the season that people are going to appreciate exactly what this league is doing, right? And we're still in the early stages. I don't think the league creators ideally got all the teams they would want. That's been documented, and we had Hatch Lane on there and Beatties. You know what Beatties done. You know what Hatch Lane did. Talking about League Cup, we're talking about London Cup winners, the best team in London, but then also the best team in England.
Yeah,
Both.
England. Yeah.
So not having them in it, obviously, it takes a bit of the sparkle of it, I guess, a little bit. But I feel like the format, the idea, it's all genius, and I feel like it's needed, and I feel like it's been tried before, and people have failed. But where they failed, this league will succeed, and we'll be a part of that. So we're again a part of making history. Like I said again, I feel like the latter end of the season is when it will really be appreciated. New format, new teams, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's a privilege to be a part of it. A privilege to meet certain people we've met. And I can't wait for it to grow because it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better.
Facts. Actually, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. What's the one tip that you could give to any content creators out there that are literally starting their journey?
Be as original as you can. Be as out of the box as you can. Don't be scared to try things. Don't be scared to be loud like a Your Fresh team. Yeah, don't be scared. Don't be scared to put your message out there, because fear breeds fear. We don't need fear. What we need is innovation. What we need is creators to be able to create. Because if I create a pencil, have I created a pencil or have I just replicated it? So we don't want replicators. We want some people that are going to try something different, create something that's original, be consistent, work hard, understand it's not going to be easy, understand you're going to have times where you want to quit, understand you're going to have times where people don't like you or people not taking to you how you would want them to. Don't take anything personally, and just keep on working on your craft, because all it takes is a moment. We've seen this through history, right? Do you know what I'm saying? And I think like this is a conception that a lot of young kids need to get in their head from now, and everybody, to be honest, because when you look at things, right, I'm going to go into the Afrobeat scene as my analogy, right? So you got Burna Boy, yeah? Burna Boy has been making music for years. Same quality music hasn't been received. He got his breakthrough by God's grace. He named a song Yay at the same time that Kanye dropped his album called Yay. And people found his song trying to search for Kanye's album. That changed his life. That one moment changed his whole life. And then Burna Boy became Burna Boy because of his craft, that the years he'd been putting in. And we need to get past this concept that people just turned up overnight. It doesn't work like that. Another one, Michael Dapper, yeah, Roadman Shack. People think that he made that hit but he had content there for years and years and years. So we need to stop disregarding the catalog of what people have done. So when I blow in 3 years, I don't want no one to say, "Oh, where they came out of nowhere." No, go check the catalog of work. I've been working for this, and we need to have that mindset when we're creating as well, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight. We keep going and believe in what you're doing, because what it takes is that one moment.
And what's the one platform that's underused that you would advise everyone to start using today?
What platform is in for grassroots?
For like football, for like sport.
Oh, okay. Underrated wouldn't be what I would put the title on, but I've been working closely with the creator, the founder, for quite a while now. He's a top guy. He's a top guy, and he's got very, very good intentions. So Team Grassroots, you know him, right? Team Grassroots, Paul Curtin was the founder, and what he's doing for his platform is so refreshing because he focuses on almost off the pitch. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily what happens on there. He's talking about like people's well-being, changing the game for the good to help people feel safer, and all those necessary initiatives that the FA are pushing. He's behind, so I recommend everyone to check out that platform, and of course, my good friend Amateur, the Amateur. If you're here, you already know this. It's not a secret, yeah. What other platforms are there? I'll be honest, there's not, and this is no shade. There's no shade, but there's no other platform I really check for. I'll watch yours because you do the vets, and the vets is heating up. And grassroots, I work with very closely, so I get to see a lot of them. Bench Views. Bench Views is a platform you guys should check out. They're growing very big. They've just launched their first Sunday team, and they play in the Essex Corinthians. So they're similar to like a Your Fresh TV. They highlight the whole area of the sport, and they got a Sunday team now as well. So I like them. 360 Sports. I'm shouting out everyone nowadays.
I see. I know. See,
Yeah,
once you start with one, then you think, "Oh my gosh, I got to do."
yeah, 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 yeah. But do you know what? Do you know what the thing is? Why I like these platforms, like I like yours. I feel like a lot of people. I don't go by numbers as much as numbers are good, right? I don't go just because you've got 10,000 followers. That means that you're. I go by what you're creating. How original is it? Where can you take it? Where's the ceiling on this platform? I feel like a lot of people pigeonhole themselves into, you know, just grassroots clips or highlights, and that's cool if that's what you want to do. But I feel like we need to put ourselves in positions where the ceiling is high, and I feel like yourself, you focus on so many different things. Like I've seen videos on rehab, I've seen videos on people's journeys, I've seen videos on games like this. That's what we call a variety. So there's not many platforms I can go on and get that type of variety, get that type of selection. A lot of people are very streamlined into doing one thing, which is again cool, but it's not necessarily. I like people that push the boundaries. I like innovators. I like people that are gonna create things that haven't been done before. Whereas a lot of people are very comfortable in maybe just doing the same thing over and over again and keep it turning, and that's great for them. But I feel like it's more about pushing the boundaries and creating things that haven't been done before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
listen, there's literally space for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, there's, you
yeah,
know, I know you are going to create some sort of round table where there's going to be like a lot of influencers from like all genre of sports and like media that are going to sit down and to kind of really just kind of and really kind of talk deeply about
yeah,
just certain things. and
yeah, yeah.
and again, you know uh you, you don't live in South now, but we've actually met on the road. I think we was at Colliers Wood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was Colliers Wood. So I get so like but we're still in London anyway. So we can kind of always travel. I'm saying, like, she travel now. There's no excuse for like, again, myself and yourself not to talk, not to talk about ideas, and like, there's like other like platforms that I'm kind of talking to as well, where where literally there's collaborations there. There's like so like many opportunities, and
yeah.
and exactly what you said before, like, like we are some of the originals that were here from like out, I don't want to say from the start, but
Yeah,
when
yeah,
like
yeah.
people start to take notice,
Yeah, no, I
and
think that,
you know what I mean.
yeah, 100%. I agree with you, man. I feel like you've put in a lot of work before we got here, and maybe that's one of the things that we was naive about. I feel like we came in and had such a big start that we kind of didn't have time to really research people that had done put in work before us, right? Um,
Yeah,
and
no, you know what, like, I don't think you did anything wrong.
I don't think we've done anything wrong, but I feel like sometimes we're dealing with different generations, right? So what I deem as disrespectful will be different to someone that's maybe 20 years my senior would deem as disrespectful.
I'm not that older than you, man. Jesus
Not
Christ.
you. Yeah, not you, not you, not you. But just hypothetically, I feel like we came in from a whole different angle. We came from like being free, being unapologetically us, and we're dealing with a gentleman's game that really isn't maybe used to that. We wanted to come out and we wanted to like. I feel like my platform represents representation. It's here to inspire. Um, who? Let me ask you a question. Who's the founder of Sky Sports? You
Is
don't
it
know.
Murdoch?
Rupert Murdoch, maybe. Okay, but what I'm saying, does he look like us?
Nah.
So when I say representation, when I say inspiration, I want some kids in the ends to be able to look at a Your Fresh TV sport or look at the amateur footballer and say, I can do that or I want to do that because I want to take this to a level where it creates a path for people that come after me, right? I want people to be inspired. I want people to be innovators. I want people to know that they can't be marginalized. They can't be limited. As long as you put the work in, you can create whatever you want to create. And that's what our platform represents. And that's why we got such a host of talented people that are still within our umbrella. You look at someone like Sean Marie, she's going all the way to the top. Like, I want to help her get as high as she can. We've got people like Danny Bassett, who I feel that's got amazing potential to go as high as he wants. He's still playing right now, so obviously that's his priority. But I know in the world of content creation, he can go take that as high as he wants. We got people like Ricky Carroll, amazing writer, journalist, lives in Portugal but helps us on our platform. We want to help him out. So our platform is turning into not only highlighting talent on the pitch, but highlighting the talent off it. I want to be able to get people to come to our platform and create things that are special, create things that last forever. I got the pleasure of being able to have a network that allows me to put special things into place, and they trust me and my vision. They trust what I see, and um, I, I feel like the sky is the limit for the platform, and I feel like people need to understand that it's all in the longevity. And when we first came out, it was very bam, and we was off. But now I feel like I understood that came and went, but I'm now invested in something that's going to last forever. Do you know what I'm saying? I want things that are going to last forever. I want things that um, people will be inspired by. That's genuinely my thing. I want people to be inspired and know that this thing we call football is deeper than football. It's more than football. It's more than what happens on the pitch. There's a whole industry that you can fit into. There's a whole industry that you can create in. It's all down to your networks, and I'm just thankful for the people that I've got on my team. One, the networks that I've managed to have on the back of my platform, and being able to, you know, fix the bridge with people like yourself. And I've reached out to other people that we've maybe offended in the past, uh, but that's my part done, right? I can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. But my network and my team and what we're doing in the future, trust me, just wait, and it's gonna be special. It's gonna be special. And
And again, honestly, I'm really conscious of time because again, like I
sorry,
said to
man.
you, an hour. So let me just apologize, but we
Yeah,
could we could talk for a long time, and you, oh, gosh,
go for it, man. I got all
oh,
day.
okay, okay. So
All
you
day.
so
It's
you can
cool.
have so you can have touched upon it, and again, I'll be transparent. Um, you've not offended me in the slightest.
Yeah,
Yes, and literally, I think you would even admit that there was the kind of reputation of Your Fresh TV at the start wasn't, again, like, it ruffled a few feathers.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you've actually said that you've kind of reached out and literally tried to build bridges with like certain people,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
certain platforms. I mean, is that olive branch
It's always
still
there. It's
is
always
it
there.
still there?
Yes, it's always there. I'm not trying to force anyone's hand though. So my thing has always been that this is a deep one. Now what I'm going to say is that the superheroes are always deemed to be the ones in front of the screen, right? So Michael Jordans, the Messis, and in our scene we got like the Dons or whoever's in front of the screen seems to be the superheroes. I wanted to build a network of superheroes, of creators like me and you. Like we should have a network, and we should be able to liaise with each other and build something for ourselves instead of constantly being used for our skill set for someone else's gain. Now, I'm sure that you're not again. I don't mind helping people personally, but I feel like people like me, yourself, people that record, people that edits, people that do this and they got their own platform. Why are we not on good terms? Why are we not able to create a superhero dream team? Why are we not able to have ownership in a platform that is generating X amount of revenue that we can give back into the grassroots game? Or why is it we are reliant on the superheroes in front of the camera, right? So this was always my theory, was that if we can somehow build something where we can all help each other, yeah, and we can have some control over what we do rather than having to, constantly go up and feel like we have to go up against each other. Because I feel like that's what it was at one point. It felt like we was, not me and you perfectly, but me and other platforms, it's like we was going back and forth, and it was like a competition, which is healthy as well. But in the background, we should have some sort of networking relationship where we can all build together. Ultimately, is what I believe.
LSU Masters have come in and said, what did it feel like capturing Anthony's goal on Sunday? And a question for both of us. But as the guest, I want you to go first.
No, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to tell you about Anthony, man. You about this goal, but big up LSU, man. That's my family for real, for real. Like Lloydie, me and him chop it up on the phone. We played together when we was young, man. He knows how Sunday League is part of me, part of my journey and stuff like that. But big up LSU. Like when I was arrogant and I was a ball player and I thought I was the guy, I remember going to a Norbury Power League and realizing maybe I'm not that guy. Because I saw Anthony McNamee doing a madness, bro. Like the ball, he was just cold, too cold. Yeah. How did it feel to capture that goal? It felt like capturing elite talent, yeah, elite talent in their natural state. Do you know what I mean? Do you know sometimes it's like, okay, people need to understand that in this elite grassroots game, or in this grassroots game as a whole, we get to witness, for instance, Premier League tech with our own eyes on a grassroots pitch, because some of these people that never made it have that ability. And Anthony McNamee is one of those people. And when he done what he did against that defender and then like whipped it top corner, I was just so gassed, because that's exactly what our platform wants to embody, is those moments there. Because he's a vet, he was ex-pro, granted, but that tech isn't ex-pro. That tech is pro still. Yeah, it might not be on paper pro, but that tech and that ability is still pro, and it's a privilege to be able to witness those type of things with our own eyes on our cameras and take it home and rewatch it over and over again. Like you heard me on the camera, I was screaming like, I was screaming like, but yeah, man, big up Anthony and LSU, man. How about you gonna answer that, or is it just on me?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I have to echo exactly what you've said. I mean, again, really delving deep into like the vet scene and just having the honor and the privilege to actually film a game like that as well. It was a great advert for like Masters football, and like we were like, that's like the eye of the storm in terms of like where like we positioned ourselves. You couldn't get, we saw everything. We saw everything. And again, that like clip's gone like viral. I've even had people from like work have said, oh, you know what, like, Tobrise, man, you got to show me that clip again. It's and again, a few years ago, you know, if someone scored a goal like that, you know, you would have to have been there and then talk about it and describe
Yes,
it, to actually invigor the emotion. But because it's been recorded, that is going to live forever. That's
fair.
she again, Anthony's grandkids, his great great great
Trust me.
grandkids, it's going to be there now in
Yeah,
perpetuity, and literally that's kind of what I love about filming. It's kind of literally not only about capturing great tackles, great goals. It's a kind of literally also creating a video storybook, like a video album that that's literally going to create a legacy for like certain
but
people.
yeah,
And it is a pleasure just to kind of capture special moments like that. But you like said the moment and then he's got that goal, you're like, this is gonna go viral. This is like you said that straight away.
I knew
So
straight away. And do you know what the thing is that obviously it'll be you're doing a full copy of that. I'm doing a full edit of that. But the most just for a bit more context for those that maybe don't know, is that the other team nearly scored up the
yeah.
other end before he
Mhm.
did that, which would have made it 2-1 to them. So it was like
Yeah.
knife moment. It weren't like you was 3-0 up and you had that luxury to try something outrageous. Like this is
Mhm.
like we're talking about knife edge moments in the game, and he comes up with that masterclass. Yeah, brilliant,
Yeah,
brilliant.
it was amazing. Amazing. Actually, before we're gonna go on to the next one, George Lister says respect. Big shout out to like George. He's a
My guys,
yeah, man, like he's a kind of huge supporter of the scene and a huge supporter of the platform. So like big up
yeah,
George.
big up George, man. I've had a
Yeah.
couple of combos with him. He knows his stuff.
Yeah. So what is next for your fresh, and also where can people find you if they don't already know about you? which is
Uh,
silly because literally everyone like knows about your fresh, but hey.
Yeah, man, and it's crazy because I remember going to do some. Do you know when I was bigging up my team, I didn't big up Steph and I didn't bring up big up Sim, two amazing hosts that I'm going to be working with as well. Amazing, but yeah, we went and done some content outside of Emirates Stadium, and some little kid came running up to us and he was like, "I follow your platform, I follow your platform," and like they're the moments that you just think to yourself, "I'm never stopping this, bro," because like people are looking up to us. But what's next for your Fresh TV Sport? What's not next for us? We got so much going on. We got little documentaries coming. I'm pitching ideas to certain industries, some powerhouses. There's so much ideas, but in terms of the near future, we have a podcast coming out soon with Jamal, who came out as he used to play for Sheppey. He recently came out as bisexual in football, um, and he was presented in front of the Emirates crowd recently. For like, not everyone deserves to be in football, right? And we're doing a podcast with him, which is going to be so insightful and so powerful. I can't wait to do that. But also we got the World Cup coming up, so we've got some special things coming up for that as well. But ultimately, I can't say too much, and I feel like this is maybe because I understand the game, right? And I want to inspire, but I also want to be able to get my things out before anyone else does.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
You can find us on YouTube, Your Fresh Media. You can find us on Instagram, Your Fresh TV Sport, Twitter, Your Fresh TV Sport, TikTok, Your Fresh TV Sport. Shout out to Uncle Mose as well, who's recently started to do our voiceovers on clips, and we're gonna have like a little. He's gonna be our social media guy basically. So be careful when the camera's on you when we're recording, because it's not gonna do the voiceovers. It's gonna be my guy Mose, and he's unforgiving.
V, honestly, thank you so much. We're like almost 2 hours in, honestly. Like,
Man.
and again, thank you so much for like sharing
Love.
your like story. And listen, I know that we'll be working,
Definitely.
closely together. And actually, again, what I want to say, and I've repeated it again, there's space for everyone. We can all collaborate. We can kind of
100%.
literally all communicate. Okay, yes, sometimes certain like people won't get along, but again,
Yeah,
but literally for the scene and literally for like the long-term growth in
yeah,
like whatever sector, industry, or football you kind of want to plant your feet in.
yeah,
There's just room for everyone, man. And
exactly.
again, maybe I'm talking all kind of kumbaya, let's hold hands and rainbows and flowers, but that's honestly literally what I believe.
Yeah, I
And
believe it.
you know what I mean?
No, I believe it,
So
and obviously, I feel like me and you are definitely going to collaborate. The only thing that's holding back is maybe time, uh, availability, because I know you're a very hard worker to reach. I'm shocked at the hours that you do. So yeah, you, my baby, we can do it. And I feel like the more we do collaborate with other entities and platforms, the better the content's going to be and the wider it will reach. So I feel like you need to really look at yourself and think, okay, am I doing this for me or am I doing it for the scene? And if you're doing it for the scene, then sometimes you have to remove your own emotions out of it for the greater good. If you're doing it for you, then by all means, you know, continue to do you. But I feel like we all agree when we say that the scene is where our priority should lie, really.
love that,
Appreciate your
guys. Yeah, definitely, guys. Honestly, it's going to 11 o'clock. V, thank you so much,
take care, man.
people. Thank you so much for like watching. Please like, subscribe to Your Fresh TV Sports. Please like and subscribe to yours truly. We will be back on Sunday with a show with Connor Washington. And again, the show goes on. We will just continue creating amazing football content for like you guys out there. And again, thank you so much for like watching. Stay safe this weekend. We'll see you soon.